This is a very controversial subject that I'm about to talk about. Therefore, comments will be closed. But if you wanted to send me a message, you will still be able to do it through the PM system here on YouTube. In other words, you're going to comment to me, not to everybody. Because I am going to close comments on this, and you'll see why in a minute. I watched a video a little earlier today that was done by my friend Cabbie. Now, on this particular subject, Cabbie and I are opposites. We do not believe anything close to what the other believes. I am a born-again Christian, a believer. I use the Bible as a manual on how to live my life. I do my very best to obey the commandments that are in the Bible. Cabbie is an atheist. Now, he had come on earlier and he had made a couple of points. And he said there was no way that a person could convince him that there is a God. And as I had said earlier, I not only believe in God, but I've accepted Jesus Christ into my heart and gotten saved, and I'm a born-again believer. But what I want to do is I want to take this a slightly different direction. And I'm going to focus in on the subject of him saying there was no way to make him believe that there was a God. And I'm going to chase a little bit of a rabbit here, so please bear with me on this. Let's say we were talking about a totally different subject. Okay? And let's say that subject was the United States of America. And we were sitting there drinking coffee or whatever your beverage is, and we got discussing, like, I wonder what it was like 200 years ago. Well, we all pretty much know how it was 200 years ago. Because number one, we were taught in the schools. And number two, we have history books. And other books that aren't necessarily on history, but they were on items that happened throughout history. Like the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, the signing of the Declaration of Independence. There's a lot of stuff out there you can read. Now, let's kind of chase a rabbit here a little bit. If we were trying to figure out how things were in 1776, we would first have to explore how to find out this information. Now, in my mind, I can only think of two ways. Number one is word of mouth. In other words, this person told this person, and this person told that person, and it just got passed along down the line. The other way is a book written about that subject. And generally you would call that a history book. But if it's not on history, it could be on something a little more specific. Could even be an autobiography or a biography. But that is one way of finding out something that has happened in the past. You read about it. Everybody knows that Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's record by hitting 61 home runs. But many of you weren't alive when that happened. So you have to depend on word of mouth or reading it in a history book. Or a book about what happened in baseball back in the 1960s. Everybody that's alive in 1969 knew about man landing on the moon. But many people weren't born yet. So they rely on the news, on TV, documentaries, which is kind of word of mouth because it's a person on TV telling you all this stuff. Or they rely on a book. Now, I'm going to take this argument and I'm going to send it off into a different direction. Let's say we're at the same coffee table and we're talking about how things were 2,000 years ago. How are you going to find out information about that? Now, remember, the internet is only dependable as the person that's writing the article on the internet. Books are generally a little bit more dependable because you can look to a date and a specific person has put their name on it, and if that person's not telling the truth, then he's going to get himself in trouble. Could very well be sued for libel. And there's other issues that crop up. So when you're looking at a book, the book is pretty much going to tell the truth on what happened in the past. So now, how are you going to find out what happened 2,000 years ago? The book that you would look at would be the Bible. Or you could go by word of mouth. Now, when you go by word of mouth, just like in the case of 200 years ago, you're going to get all kinds of opinions. But if you go by the book, you're going to get truth. I'm not saying look at it as a history book, but what I am saying is you can learn a lot of history about what happened by reading it. And as you read it, you're going to read other parts into it. You're going to read a little bit about what's going to happen in the future. And you might totally discount that. And you might say, no, I don't believe that. Well, do you believe the history books about 200 years ago? Because if you discount one, and I'm not talking about the type of discount where you lower prices. I'm talking about saying, like, this doesn't apply to me. Okay? If you discount one, you have to discount the other. You can't pick and choose. So in other words, if you're saying, I don't believe the Bible and what it says about 2,000 years ago, then you really can't believe the history book either that tells you about what happened 200 years ago. And if you don't believe the history book, then how do you learn about the history? And if you really look at it from that perspective, you're going to see it in a totally different light. Now, I totally believe what the Bible says. And the Bible tells me in the chapter of John 1:1 and 1:14 that Jesus is God. And that's what I believe. And you're not going to convince me any other way. Now, you're going to believe what you're going to believe. But I just wanted to throw that out there. So, if you're not believing the Bible, Why are you believing the history books? Because they're both covering things that happened in the past. And if you know any other way other than history books or word of mouth, please let me know. Because I don't think the internet is that dependable. Because on the internet, anybody can say anything. But when you have to put your name on a book, you're dealing with your own credibility. And on that note, I say thank you for listening and have a great day. Now you can see why I close comments. I don't want trolls on this. If a person wants to respond to me, that's fine. And basically, Happy Cabbie gave his opinion on his video, and all I'm doing is I'm telling you what I believe. It's different than what he believes. I know that. He knows that. And we're both fine with each other. And he even says that in his videos. But when he had his soapbox platform, I figured I'd have to have mine too. Thank you.